All right. So I mentioned earlier about health in my lupus video, and I specifically mentioned astrology and how when two planets or two energies uh, are together in a certain, and it's actually in a specific house. When they are together, they indicate autoimmune disorder. So that being the case, I know people are like, "What? You mean to tell me my astrology can kind of indicate what type of health I will have?" Yes, it can. And it can even indicate what type of health your children will have. Like if you have a child who's going to be born with some issues. And then numerology also indicates general health things that you might experience, right? So, and I'm going to get into that because 2026 is all about the body and astrology and new beginnings. And that is our focus. 2025, I focus on the affirmations that I gave you guys each day. In 2026, we're going to focus on relating astrology and numerology together, astronumerology, to your health. So even if you look at like the number one, right? The number one can be associated with person having heart issues, right? So if you take that number one and say a person has heart and circulation issues, or they're more likely to develop issues with their heart. Remember, the one is the leader. So 2026 is a 1 year. So a person who is really going to feel the 2026 energy, and a person who is a one as a major life path, major energy in their life, at least maybe in 3 different areas, could see themselves on the downside of 2026 experiencing more trouble with their heart and their circulation, or becoming more of a focus. So perhaps they're going to eat a heart healthy diet because they know there's a problem with the heart in their history or the circulation, or they're going to engage in swimming or walking or some exercise that improves their circulation, right? So that's one thing. If you combine that with the person having the planets in their certain aspect of their chart, then that person could have an autoimmune disorder related to the heart or the circulatory system. Therefore, that person, if they know that when they're young, they could, or as soon as they know it, they could take steps to kind of work to correct the issue. The thing about these energies is that although the energies exist, for a lot of them, there's a remedy. I had someone ask me when I was pointing out uh, energy that I saw in a person's chart, and they said, is there any way that this can be changed? And some can be reduced or mitigated. Um, it depends on the path that you're taking. So, for instance, if I see that a person's chart has the heart issue, and that perhaps that's going to be their way of transitioning out of the world, and I tell them that, and perhaps they have some planets that line up that say they're going to transition in their 50s, but they know that the heart is an issue, and they take all of these steps to correct that and mitigate that, and then they don't transition in their 50s, they transition in their 60s. So that's a whole decade that a person had, that if they had kept going in other direction, it would have been bye-bye for them, right? And this would explain why you see some people who are morbidly obese and yet they don't have a heart attack, and you see a person who's a runner who dies of a heart attack, and no genetic background, right? So again, the astrology and numerology combination can show you that. Okay, so we're going to work with that for 2026. All right, let me finish unpacking my packages and get things in order. Toodaloo.